Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Electrical Apprentice webinar session. This is the second session with Scolmore Group. Here with me again, Jake and Darren. Hello, guys. Welcome.
Hello there. Thank you very much for having us. It's good to be back, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Please now, aren't we?
Thank you, guys. So before we start the session, we have 5 minutes yet. I'd like to ask to the audience if you guys can confirm the chat box, if you can hear as well, if our audio and the camera, if it's good enough, if you can hear, so we can start the session without any connection problems, any audio problems, so we make sure everything is okay. So Nick confirmed, Bear as well. Yes, that's fine. Can hear and see okay. That's perfect. So we're okay. So add here, we have the title of the session, and we can wait the 3 more minutes to start the session. Okay, Darren, Jake, just a couple of minutes.
Absolutely fine. Yeah, no problem at all.
Okay, thank you very much. And if you guys from the audience, if you have any doubts, you can write down in the chat box as well, and we can reply here. And it's common, a question asking for the recorded session. So everyone, if you want to access the recorded video, this session afterwards, for more details, you can access the Voltimo Academy. So this session will be available over there until the end of the day, okay? And even the first session, the first webinar session we did on 21st April, I think, it's over there as well. So yeah,
there's a lot happened since then for us.
I've slept since then, so I'd have forgot.
Yeah. So everyone, if you want to access this session again, it's over there. Let me put the link on the chat box as well. voltimo.co.uk/academy. That's it. Okay, and 2 more minutes, and we can start the session.
Are you in the frame?
Yeah, just about.
And one more information for the audience as well. Please feel free to make comments during the presentation in the chat box, and Darren and Jake can reply to you guys during the presentation as well. Right, Darren? Right, Jake?
Yeah, exactly. We want to encourage people to ask questions. It's your chance to ask questions of me and Jake, anything that you've got queries on or questions on. It may be as a group discussion as well. We know that many of you are sharing this with your tutors, so your tutors are probably putting it on for you. Again, just feel free to use the chat part to ask any questions, and we'll take them as we go, or if we think that the next slide or part of the presentation is going to answer it, we may leave it until that part of the talk.
Perfect, Darren. Okay, let me check. Everything's fine. So guys, Darren, Jake, 1 p.m. It's time. We can start. It's over to you, please.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And thank you to all those that are taking the time out to join Jake and myself. We're going to be talking about a really good and a very important topic, looking at this safe isolation, Jake. One thing we'll say again, just to reiterate, if you've got any questions, pop them in the chat part. Me and Jake will pick them up as we're going. One question that's coming there already is, do you do college visits? We do. We absolutely do. If you feel that there is a need and you'd like us to come and visit, we don't just have to talk about this. We can talk about lots of other things that are ready for apprentices or for any learners of any level. Evening classes, the day release, the full time, anything like that. We have the ability to join.
You're signing me up for evening work again.
Yeah, Jake's going to do the evening ones. So
yeah,
you can get in touch with us. Yeah, and email us at training@scolmoregroup.com and put the request in there, and then we'll take the option to come and join you. We'd love to. When we do get the chance to get out and about, we'd love to actually do that. So have a look at that round. However many you've got, we'll talk to as many. So let us know how many you want us to talk to. We'll come and do that.
If it's even a full day that we've got to be there and then we separate them into different groups, then we're more than happy to do so. We prefer it to be one big group, but if it needs to be smaller groups or different levels, you want us to pitch it at different levels, anything to do with our products here at Scolmore or anything to do with anything to do with the industry.
But today we were talking about safe isolation. Safe isolation is one of the things that I know full well. We got taught a lot about when you were at college. Lots of talk, lots of understanding about it, lots of chat about it, and then you sort of get out in the real world, as they call it, Jake, and you don't get it a lot, do you? You don't get it. Absolutely, it's not at the forefront of what your thoughts are every day, is it?
No, I think it's one of them things that kind of gets missed off. You know, you get into a routine of turning things off and then actually starting to work because you believe that you're the only person that is on that system all the time. And, you know, it's not until a different trade then comes in and thinks, why's the power off? And then just starts walking around and mooching around without actually doing any real research as to who's actually on that system.
Now, if you ask the Sparks and that you're working with and say, have you had electric shock? I would probably suggest that nearly all of them are going to say yes. And that isn't necessarily because they're bad Sparks, but that's just because probably at the opportunity that they were working, they didn't have the time to do safe isolation. Now that's always a pressure. We understand commercial pressures are out there, and you want to do something quick. You turn in maybe to do a bit of maintenance. You try and do it without turning off. We've seen people changing lights by just turning off light switches and stuff like that. And we're going to be coming on to looking at the equipment that we've got here in front of us. And by the way, this is from my own tool bag. All right, so I've got the tool bag here just to prove that it is actually mine. So we've got the tool bag here, and my old gubbins are sitting here because, having joined the electrical industry, I worked out pretty early on that safe isolation was really important. And through all my jobs, it's quite apparent that it is going to, again, become more and more apparent. And I've spoken about it lots in the past, and I want to talk about it with you here today. I want to share another image with you. Now, this image here that we've got, this image you see there, this was a job, and you can see that a fine was imposed by the health and safety executive for this one. But we need to just understand the scenario of what's going on a bit more, don't we, Jake?
We do indeed. So there was two guys.
Yeah, two friends working together. Started up on their own, just got in a van and off they went trying to make money.
And then they turned up at this job, and they were actually finishing it off there. And you can see in the bottom there that, you know, got some wires hanging out. There's had a water heater changed and the water heater going in. The few spurs there. One guy was upstairs.
Yeah, so one guy was upstairs doing some testing. But as Jake said, the other guy, the other workmate, was connecting the flex, as you see, into the back box. So there's a ring, incomplete ring there. He's taken it off. He's about to connect in his back box. He's isolated. He's gone to the consumer and isolated. But his mate, as you said, was upstairs doing some earth fault loop readings.
He was, and then he couldn't actually get a reading. No. So he's come back down. He's switched it on, and then what happened?
Well, again, through not checking what's going on, he's just gone under the stairs where the consumer unit was in this property and just switched the MCB back on that he thought was controlling the circuit upstairs. It wasn't. Unfortunately, it was providing the energy to this part of the installation. And he electrocuted his mate. And the fine there of £2,000 isn't because 200,000 isn't just because he received an electric shock, but he killed him that day. Now, that fine is never ever going to repair that family or repair that relationship. These were two colleagues, two friends that just got in the van one day and went to work, and one of them didn't go home. Jake and I and everyone else here at Scolmore, and there's lots of other people in the industry talking about this. We believe everybody, every single person has the right to go home after a day's work. Now, this one here is truly horrific. And these guys had been and done their college courses. They were qualified and competent, and they're out there doing work. And again, just quickly, I'll just turn it off. Without some of this kit here, Jake, we're going to talk about, just thought he was going to be okay.
I think it's that making sure that the basics are right and the basics are being carried out on a day-to-day basis to make sure you're staying in that good habit of turning off and locking off the supply. If you're not doing that and you start to let it lapse and you think, oh, just this time because I'm here, then starts to become a bad habit, and then you start taking more and more risks. I think it's important to keep that good habit up, and the training that I'm sure you're being taught at college needs to stay with you throughout and get into a routine of continually doing it.
Now, the health and safety executive were involved in this one, and they're going to be involved in the next one we're going to share with you as well. So if we just move on, Jake, to have a look at the next example we've got. This one, actually, safe isolation. You can make it out on the screens that you're looking at, but on the left-hand side there, you'll see the distribution board. It's actually got some tape across the MCBs, Jake, and they actually stood up in court when this went to court from the health and safety executive, stick the old teeth in, and they said that this was safe isolation tape. Now, the practice is absolutely barbaric, and it is really, really dangerous. You can see actually the other end of the cable. There's connector blocks in there, and again, someone just wrapping some tape around believed that was going to be okay. This is the tape that you're using. It's probably only going to be there for identification. It's not really, although we call it insulation tape. Yeah, the insulation tape is probably not the right thing, Jake, is it?
No, definitely not. So, yeah, these guys, $7,000 plus costs, you'll see there. The costs normally, Darren, are about £150 an hour. And it probably takes around about 4 or so weeks to have something like this done, 5 days a week. So you're probably looking at another $7,000 in costs alone. So it's a $7,000 fine plus another $7,000 in order for them to get to the bottom of what actually happened here, going to court, etc.
Yeah, no, again, both of these could have been really, really resolved. And especially, I think we have to say that those two guys that were working with each other, this bit of kit here that we're going to about to talk on, this is a couple of quid. And the fact that a couple of quid in a couple of minutes could have saved the lives, not only of the guy that unfortunately lost his life on that day, but could you imagine being the person that did switch that device on? They've got to live with themselves.
Well, especially as their family member, or
Yeah,
the friends and they probably know all the family as well.
Yeah, that's going to be absolutely horrific. So again, it is really about something as simple as what we're about to show you is truly just so simplistic, and we should all be doing it. So safe isolation, as you know, proving unit. Yes, I've always got a proving unit. It's heavy. I have to carry it around with me, Jake, but a proving unit is key. But if we haven't got one, we can use something else, can't we?
Well, we can use a known live source if we can find one or we can see it.
Yeah.
And again, it needs to be done safely down. It's not a case of disconnecting it and then putting your prongs on from your tester. It needs to be done safely as well.
So a known supply, again, you may have heard it spoken about. So they say use a proving unit or use that known supply to test your equipment on to make sure you're absolutely fine, it's going to be working. But some of that known supply, some people I've heard them say, well, the incoming tails are live because I haven't pulled the main fuse yet. Can I use that? You've got to think the electricity work regulations are really, really important. And they do say working on or near live conductors, we need to make sure we have made as much precaution as possible to avoid the dangers. So knowing that there's something live there and working live means really I've got to put some controls in place.
Yeah, so we got to have rubber gloves, matting and things like that, and taking all the precautions whereby you're not basically touching or going anywhere near them live parts. Yeah,
now the piece of equipment, again, the GS38 test lamp that you're looking to use there, GS38 because the amount of exposed conductor on there, the fused leads, the finger guards, and there's lots of other bits that your tutors have probably been going through with you again. And the GS38 is sort of the key bit of kit, but it's only as good as the person that's operating it. And as we get through and we start to look at the combinations, especially when you're starting to get into three-phase situations as well, the combinations are quite important. But these are two of the main ones, and then you sort of get onto the nitty-gritty here, the padlock. With one key, Jake? Yes,
it's very important that if you haven't got a combination lock and you're the only person that knows the combination, that there is only one key, or if there is two keys, you have responsibility to both of them. There should never be anymore. Anybody else have responsibility to your key. So in effect, it's like I say, it's your key.
Now, companies again that we've spoken to in the past have looked for a quick fix solution. So they've gone out and brought a number of padlocks. It's got the same key on it, and that number of padlocks distributed out across the workforce means that everyone can get hold of them. That's not the answer. You need to have your own key. This key truly is the way of keeping you safe. And again, no one else. Not a mate through a mistake, not another colleague through a mistake can come in, isolate, and then start to use it. So it's really important you get those bits. I mean, also there's the caution label, some sort of notice as well to say. I mean, one thing they do always ask you to fill these in, and again, through using them on site, if you use them once, you tend to fill it in with your name and your details, contact details. Ring this number, Darren on the line, or Darren on the circuit, or something like that is what they were. But these can come bigger and smaller, can't they, Jake? Most people attach them to this. I've seen other electricians actually put a big cover over the whole fuse board, ones that they'd have there.
Yeah, some fuse boards are lockable, aren't they? So you can lock the whole fuse board itself.
Yeah, now Jake's talking about using, again, something like this, probably to lock the fuse board. So you turn the MCB off, and then you get into actually putting this across the whole cover. And again, that is a practice. So you would be in charge and in control of that environment and that situation. Now, one thing we need to consider, is this a good practice or not, locking off fuse boards? Fuse boards are also, the switches in there, especially the main switch, Jake, is identified as being a switch for emergency. So if there was something else happening on a different circuit, that might not be a great idea.
Well, not necessarily, but if you're working on multiple circuits, you may want to take the whole system out and then lock it off that way.
That would be a way. But just to turn off one MCB and lock a cover and leave the rest of it energized when people probably need to get access to that may not be the right thing. We've also heard of people saying they haven't got a padlock or they haven't got anything, but they've got the key to the room, Jake. Could they use that?
They could use that, again, as long as they're the only person or the sole responsibility for that key, then obviously that, yes, they could use that room or the room key, just lock the room. Again, you probably want to put a notice on there to make sure that the notice is fixed.
Yeah, it's just
so there's no good just hanging it over the door handle, because somebody could walk past and take it off, and then, you know, we're going to the nth degree here, Darren. Somebody's going to be wanting to get in there for serious measures. But if you've got the key and you've locked it, you've got the only key, then the chances are that will be okay.
So when Jake and I were talking with one of the couple of the principal guys over at HSE about these other methods that you could employ, we know all the benefits of employing something like this, or a clamp that will go around the actual toggle switch of the MCB, RCBO or main switch, Jake. And these will plug into the miniature circuit breakers that you're using, or they'll plug into the main switches or RCCBs. These are absolutely great, and then they'll allow you to plug through them. These are really good because they're doing that isolate and lock off part, the very first important part of what you're looking for there with regard to safe isolation. But again, this is the small end, and there are other methods that you could possibly use, and it's all about having that system in place. Now, if you don't think, they think I've not got a system, my employer hasn't got a system yet, what should I be using? There's some really, really good guidance out there with our friends over at Best Practice Guides, isn't there?
Yes, there is indeed. So you can go onto the Electrical Safety First website, download the Safe Isolation Practice off there, go through a few pages, professional resources, and then you go into Best Practice Guides, and then one of the guides there will be able to give you the correct procedure, the industry known procedure for safe isolation. So
the industry comes together every now and then to look at these best practice guides. So for you, your tutors, you please have a look on there. Go to Electrical Safety First, look at the top there. It's got professional resources, and in there's best practice guides, and there's one dedicated to it. If learners, you want to go and have a look yourself, you can download that as a PDF, and it's there. It's about a 4 or 5 page document. It's got a run through chart of everything that you need to do, telling you about the known supply. You always check the piece of equipment first to make sure it's working. Then you check the area where you want to be working, and then you will check this again with the known supply again to ensure it's working throughout the process. You're closing off that loop to ensure this is working. That really comes from when these were old filament lamps, Jake.
Oh, remember that?
No, you won't remember that bit. No, but I do. I remember they used to be a thing called such as the Drummond lamp. You can still get them, the Martindales and Drummonds. They used to have lamps in them, filament lamps. And it used to brighter when it got on the 400 volt or 415 as it used to be then. But again, relying on a filament lamp, you're taking it from a process where it's been bounced around in your van or in your toolbox, and then all of a sudden you're moving from one area up to another area. There have been known times where that could fail. Not probably as much with the devices we're using now, the electronic devices with the displays on them that will indicate the different voltages, but there is still known where that can fail, probably because these have become loose and stuff like that.
Yeah, they probably come damaged over time, so it's important to check the leads as well, especially with them types of tests.
Yeah, so you're always checking against a known voltage, then you're going to check that, and again, you'll go back in here to ensure that that is working again. So that's one for the
I will say, Darren, though, that probably when I was apprentice, I was more interested in all the pretty tools. I had all this stuff, but I was more interested in the pretty tools. But it's very, very basic stuff, and it's exactly what needs to be in everybody's toolkit. Everyone should have that safe isolation test kit.
What about one of these, though, Jake?
Yeah, well, they're okay for a first look, and to do a quick visual and see if there is voltage in the cable. To use it as a sole means of safe isolation, then absolutely not, because we need to make sure that we're doing all the tests across all of the different conductors, and that will only pick up via the line cable. Yeah,
and again, this one here, I mean, you've probably seen volt sticks before. They'll pick up on static shock that you're getting off your... You've seen electricians test them. You always give them a good rub to make sure they're working. And this, again, can be a bit of a problem. So something like this, that again, is just completely outside of the proper scope, great indicator for voltage present, but it's not and should not be ever substituting these. These are the bits of kit that you really do need. So although you're going to find them probably in your toolkit and they're great for some referencing, they should not be used. Having said that, I know that people do rely on them as the first part, so to see if there's voltage there, and then they can start to use this on the known supply afterwards. So I've seen people do that, Jake. And again, this is great as a voltage indicator, but it really to be used as part of the sole means of ensuring it's isolated, no. And again, the guidance that we refer to will tell you what you can or what you can't be using, and it refers to the stuff that is GS38. So GS38. Oh, teething again. Yeah.
Go
on, you go for it. What you got?
Someone said here that some companies insist when you lock off, the key is put in a locked cabinet, and you do not keep the key, not even the key to the cabinet. What are your thoughts? Well, if nobody's got the key, who's got the key? I think it's more important, or should we say that there's somebody who is a charge hand, maybe, that looks after the whole system. So if they are having the key, or somebody's having the key, somebody must have the key, but it's whether that is the top level that has the key, and then you go and ask for the key.
It cannot be a simple system of it goes into a locked cabinet, and that locked cabinet can be accessed by multiple. That definitely would not be part of the safe isolation process. We really do need to understand that it's this key, this one key that is stopping anyone from switching it back on again. And we saw from them two unfortunates that again, this one key, if this was employed, then that guy would still be here.
It's very interesting because Neil's just put on here the very important part of your AM2 assessment. And when I actually did my AM2, somebody did that and they just said, see you later. That was it, failed.
I failed my AM2 on safe isolation.
Did you?
Yeah.
Darren's already mentioned about the safe isolation procedure. I know you've went through it very briefly, but as Neil's mentioned, it's just brought it to my mind about the AM2 assessment. They'll probably get you to isolate a lighting circuit, Darren. So it's important that you go through all the procedures of the lighting switches. So make sure that you're on and off position. If it's a one-way, two-way, or intermediate circuit, then you need to make sure that you're testing every single switch to make it do every operation. So it's important that you do that as well.
The reason you're doing that is you're ensuring that there isn't a line conductor on one of the other strappers. So going through the multiples. So we see them test at the light, and we can probably show someone, can't we? If we move through the slides, Jake, to see what's going on. So if I was to share this one with you again, so you're going through it, you're testing here. So let's just ensure what you're doing the first bit. So you've isolated, you've locked off, you've secured it, you've put your label on. You get this, you check that this is going to be absolutely working with your known supply. You get to that part of the lighting circuit, just for those that are working on the M2. You go up to the light and you check at the light. This is where, as Jake said, that if it is the lighting circuit they're talking to you about, you need to then switch the switches to make sure the combination of switches a couple of times, and test every time you're switching them, and go back and test a couple of times. So you're going to put the light.
From memory, I think you get 15 minutes or so to do this safe isolation procedure. Yeah. If you was super quick at it and you knew all the tests like the back of your hand, you can probably do it in about 3-4 minutes. Use that time wisely to go through it and make sure that you've done it over and over again. They're not going to take it away from you because you've taken the whole 15 minutes. That's what it's there for, is to use that time. So my advice would be to make sure that you use all of your time and go through every single step. Maybe do it twice, 3 times before you actually say, yes, I'm happy, and keep that key with you. Again, say someone didn't do that and they failed. So it's important that you do take your time and do remember all of these steps as well.
Now, one thing I will say is for anyone learning, if you're moving forward and you're about to have an assessment and it looks like it's going to be on safe isolation, a little bit of a trick here for you. Okay, right. So I'm giving the crown jewels away here. So me as an assessor, when I was at Bedford College, looking at AM1s, they used to have AM1s. We used to also assess on the level 3s as well. And when I used to assess on the 2391s, the testing and inspection element, Jake, we used to look for. If I saw someone complete the safe isolation assessment really, really quickly and competently, it almost used to put a little bit in me, this person really knows what they're doing. So if I saw the person get this and also check this and then check it again and check again and check again and not really know what they're doing, and I think I've checked it, I'll check this once more, and I'll go up there and I'll check, and I'll check this once more again. At that point there, I started to think they're not quite sure on safe isolation. So if they're not sure on safe isolation, what faith have I got in them doing the other stuff?
Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. I would probably look at it the fact that they're going over and over again. Maybe it just needed that bit of communication between you as the assessor and me as a student, just to say, I know I've checked everything. I just want to recheck it to make sure I'm absolutely certain before I say, yes, I'm done with this part.
Yeah. Now, when it does come then down to making sure you're using this okay on single phase, again, we're suggesting that you start to probe the terminal that's got the least energy at it. So CPC should have least energy. Probe that first, so you're not wandering around with live potential on the other probe. So you're not simply wandering this around after being connected to one end. Now this means if I was to probe in the live and all of a sudden this potential, there's live sitting here, so probe that least potential first and then start to go to the others. And it's about getting that combination right. If you're looking at the 3-phase, Jake, people are saying, right, you connect down to your earth, you go line 1, line 2, line 3, neutral. Brilliant. That's the first bit of it done. Then I'm going to go neutral to line 1, line 2, and line 3 again. That's the second part of it done. Now I'm going to go from line 1 to line 2, line 1 to line 3, and then again from 3 to 2. And at that point there, you're sitting there, am I all done? Yes, you've done the whole combination there. You've tested, and as long as you're testing between, which you did on the first one, you went between the neutral and the earth. That's it. At that point, you would retest your tester and then go back again. If you're standing there and thinking, right, what do I need to get right? What do I need to get right? Just literally get that. Now, we do know there are some absolutely fantastic videos out there. So Adrian's done a few videos. Apprentice 1-to-1, again, has got some really good videos on there. So if you're coming up, again, that little competence about just going through there and checking again and getting it all very well done, absolute brilliant. So Adrian Davies, one of them, isn't he? Again, so he's done some brilliant stuff. And also the friends over at GSH.
Yep.
He's done some great stuff as well. So Gary's done some absolute fantastic stuff about what you should be doing when regarding to look at these. So again, you've got your tester. You've tested it on a known supply. You've already locked off. You've stuck the key in your pocket for the AM2. Stick the key in your pocket. You may get some really horrible assessors say, brilliant, are you finished? The last thing they'll probably say, can I have the key, or can you just put the key on there? Don't fall for that, eh? No, do not fall for that bit. No, the key stays in your pocket. You say, so if they say to you, can I, okay, that's great. You've done it all safe isolation. Can I have the key, please? Just say, no, I'm not prepared to give you the key. that again just shows a confidence that you are fully aware of what you're doing and how you're doing it. And again, it's that whole process and procedure that we mentioned about, which again you can get access to, and we'll have a chat with our friends at Voltimum about getting the links out there. Where were the links again, Jake?
Electrical safety first, professional resources, downloadable material, and then it's onto the best practice guides.
Yeah, so you can get hold of those as well. Neil's put one up there again, so there's some information there about where you can get it from with Neil McManus as well. So again, it really is it's about you getting confidence in that part of it. The fact that someone puts the word assessment in the front of it tends to send us all a little bit haywire. It's all right. It's not just you. It happens to a lot of people throughout the industry, no matter what walk or whereabouts they are in the industry.
I'm still shocked that you failed to safe isolation. I didn't know that.
Yeah, failed with safe isolation in my AM2. Yeah, I had to go all the way back. I had to travel down to London for mine. And I had to go all the way back down there again for it again, just because at that point there, I know why I done it. I put the key on the side. So yeah, failed my AM2. There you go. That hasn't stopped me. Just meant I had to go back and do it again. Now, this is where you get the opportunity to look when we're looking at here. So, again, put all your questions in there, and we'll look to answer all the questions that's coming regarding this one. And the last bit we mentioned is just where to get some information from, how to get access to me and Jake if you want to. So people are putting some stuff in, Jake.
Yes, Alex, I just wondering whether you could type in for us training at scolmoregroup.com, just to check the link in there for the people that are asking about college visits.
Yeah,
that would be useful if you could do that for us, please.
Yeah, so we'll get the link put up there on that one. Safe isolation.
Sorry. Can you say again, Jake, please?
It's training at scolmoregroup.com.
Okay.
Look, Neil.
No problem.
Our glamorous assistant, our Debbie McGee of the electrical world, is Neil McManus. He's put up that electrical safety first. Look at that. So please, click on that one. It's free for you to download. It's a PDF. You can share it around all over the place. If you really want, there is also an app. So you can go to the App Store, no matter where you're going to go for Android or anything like else. That's
a very good point, actually, Dan. They've got the actual full step procedure on that.
It's a brilliant safe isolation app. So look for that one. It goes on all smartphones, and it looks at safe isolation, talks you through that PDF version. We've made it app enabled, so you can get hold of the app. So you need to put in there electrical safety first, or put safe isolation app, search for it in your app stores, and you will be able to download that app and have it with you. If you're coming up to an assessment and someone wants you to carry out safe isolation, as long as you're telling them why you're using your smartphone, you will hopefully be able to get access to that, or print it off and have it next to you as you're going through. There's nothing wrong with you doing that one.
Somebody's asked there, will lock-off devices still lock off very old consumer units? If you're referring back to the old wireless ones with the 3036 fuses, the BS336 fuses, chances are you'll probably have to use one of these little devices here, little dollies, because they don't actually have the
holes for these ones to clip into.
So you'd actually have to lock the whole system off, opposed to taking out individual ones.
Again, if you can't do that with this one, sits around that dolly clamp. So with that one there, it very simply just sits around the actual clamp of the toggle switch that's sitting out the MCB. This will do the same. That will clamp onto that main switch, or the toggle clamp on the different MCBs, and do that. If it's the push button ones, again, you obviously can't do anything. So main switch off, and you have to start to use stuff like this. If it's rewirable fuses, some people are saying they can pull that rewirable fuse and have that in their bag or their tool bag or their pocket. And again, that's how they do that one. You're still going to have to do all of this stuff with it as well, but it's very important that you are in control of what's going on with that device. So yeah, very, very important. I've seen some people remove one, but there's been a spare one sat on top. So again, you say it's all very well and you're good, you're keeping that in your pocket, but I could put another one in there. You've got to be in control of the environment. It's very, very important that you do make sure you're in control of the whole environment there.
Somebody's put here, while on site, have you ever come across circuits that have been isolated but have been compromised by a borrowed negative? I think he's referring to a neutral there.
I'm really glad you pointed it out, because Jake loves this bit.
This is the bit that I have to hold my hands up and say this is where I got an electric shock. This was no fault of my own. It wasn't until the two-way lighting circuit, somebody was upstairs, I isolated the downstairs, lovely, all secure, did my tests. Somebody went upstairs, switched it on, and that's when they've got the borrowed neutral come down from there, because the strappers the neutrals were linked through. Yeah. So yes, I have come across it, and it's not nice. It did make me jump. What's the way we get around that then, Darren? Is it just to isolate the whole system? You're
going to have to isolate both those lighting circuits. I mean, effectively what they've done is they've taken the upstairs lighting circuit will supply the light that sits there on the landing. So that's the live. And they've taken, so the live will come up. So the neutral will come from there, but the lives will come from the downstairs switch. They'll take 2 strappers up that gets you to the second switch. And then from that switching point, they take the live up to the light. And again, as Jake said, they're okay at one point until you switch the light on, and again all of a sudden you start to get that back feed through the two, linking the 2 lighting circuits together. That again is a problem.
I think that's it's more of a piece of advice, or more of a keep your wits about you when you start looking at lighting circuits on landings or in hallways downstairs. If it's an older property, that's probably the way they would have wired it. So
it's very, very common. Early 80s and before that 70s, it was really, really common for them to do it. I mean, the solution, you put both lighting circuits onto one MCB. There's not a problem doing that, and you lock off the one MCB, or you lock off the consumer unit. You could do it that way. But if you're relying on table lamps or something like that to do the job, that may not be the solution, Jake. But yeah, either 2 of these, and then you lock off the 2 circuits that you're working on. But you may only have 1 padlock. So that's why I suggested that you put them both on their one protected device and lock that one off. So that may be something you want to consider there. And again, as Jake said earlier on, if you've done the first part of safe isolation and you went and you tested at the light, and you were using the 2-way switching on the other part of the circuit, you'd find that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But you'd have to be on that part of the circuit, wouldn't you? And you were probably on a different light, were you? So yeah, that is a horrible one.
Someone said, would a borrowed neutral be something that would fail on an EICR? Yes, it would be. It would be a C2 down there. You know, it's dangerous. It's got potential there, as I found out. You know, thought I isolated it. However, it came back to get me. So yes, it would fail an EICR.
Yeah, without a doubt, it would do that. So yeah. So again, we've got. We thought that there would be quite a few questions, and thank you very much for putting the questions in. You can still put questions into the team. So the guys over at Voltman, they will take questions all the time. If you want to put them again to us, you can do. You can engage with us again on social media. Look at Click Scolmore, and we've got lots of stuff going on at Scolmore, and you can again interact with us and what we're doing. We're hopefully going to see you for another one of these with the Voltman team, and again, there'll be more in the future. I'm sure there will. But as Alex suggested, there are links to other apprenticeship material. Again, just a couple of clicks away, you can get hold of all this information. And the previous one that Jake and I did as well. So we can help you with those. So we'll hand back to Alex at this point if there's no more questions coming in, Alex. And we'll see if you want to put the poll up that the guys have been looking forward to.
Darren, thank you very much. Thanks for your presentation. Thanks, Jake, as well. I already put in the chat box the address for Baltimore Academy, as Darren commented about the last session, but let me put again, baltimore.co.uk/academy. Yeah,
our email address there, Alex, is training@scolmore.com.
Sorry.
That's right. It's that last little bit on it, that's all.
Let me put it again. So, and in the meanwhile, let me put in the screen. One moment, please. Yes, I'm writing the chat box, but yeah,
to vote.
Yeah, and there's a survey, guys, in the main screen. If you could complete just 2 questions, we appreciate it. Help us for the next sessions as well. Yeah, one moment, please. Okay, just 1 minute more. And always remembering, this session, the recorded session, will be available on Votimore Academy as well until the end of the day, okay? So if anyone got late for the session, or if you want to re-access any detail, you can access the Votimore Academy as well. Okay. Thank you very much for completing the survey as well. Thanks very much for the questions and interaction. And let me come back here. Yeah. So
Right.
Darren, Jake, thank you very much again for the presentation. And
No problem.
you guys, you want to leave a last comment before we finish?
Again, just about the fact, if you want to know anything more, we've got lots of information again on SGTV. That's over our YouTube channel, so you can get hold of that. And again, please feel free, now that restrictions are starting to ease, it means me and Jake can start to get about a little bit. So if you'd like to have a visit from us, talking about some of the products and technical solutions that we've got for you guys in the industry, and anything else, again, that helps you and makes it a little bit easier out there, just please drop us a line and we'll see if we can fit you in. We'd love to come out and see you, wouldn't we?
Okay, thanks very much. And let me put here on the big screen so it's easier for everyone. You guys, you can see the link, votimore.co.uk/academy, and the email as well. Jake, it's right now, training
Yes,
at
that's it.
scolmoregroup.com. So good. So guys, thank you very much. Thank you for the audience. And the next communications, hopefully we can inform you guys about the next webinar sessions in the Electrical Apprentice with Scolmore Group again. Right, guys?
Great. Look forward to it.
Okay, have a good day. Bye-bye. Thank you. Cheers.